Hi everyone, welcome to walkthrough of the first fetal pig for Bio 139 at BCTC. The first fetal pig, what we're going to need to learn are many of the larger blood vessels. And on each slide that we look at, over here I've got a full image of the dissected pig, and then I'm going to have a more zoomed in area for the region that we're talking about, because it can be kind of difficult to see what we're needing to look at in this full image. But I will orient you for each of the images that we're looking at. So the first thing that we're going to look at are the veins in the upper chest and neck area. So we're looking at this area right here in this image. So this is kind of the bottom of the pig's jaw. This is the neck area. And you can see right here, we're touching the heart. This is the heart, which is this structure right here. So let's see the veins of the upper chest and neck that we need to learn. And if you look in your lab manual, I believe it's page 5, you'll see a list of the veins that you need to know. So I'm just going to go down that list on this image and show you where each of these veins can be found. Now remember, keep anatomical position in mind. So when we're talking right and left, it's not what's on your right, it is the right of the pig. So everything over here will be right. Everything over here will be left. And for practically every vessel that we have, you do have to specify right or left if there is a right and left. You also need to specify, in many cases, artery or vein, because by the time we get through this, you're going to see a lot of the arteries and veins will have the same name. So almost all of your answers on an exam will have something like right external jugular vein. You want to be sure to include the entire name. So let's start at the top of our list. The first thing that you need to know is the right external jugular vein, and that is this vessel right here. This is the right external jugular vein. We also need to know the left external jugular vein, which is right here. So the jugular veins are what drain blood away from the brain. So there's a right external and a left external jugular vein. The next two are the right and left internal jugular veins, and they run right next to the external. So here is the right internal jugular vein and the left internal jugular vein. Moving down our list is the Brachiocephalic vein. Now on the pig, this is kind of tricky. So we can see there's a lot of veins all kind of merging at one spot. Well, that one spot where all of those veins come together, that is the Brachiocephalic vein. Right there. But why I say it's kind of tricky is immediately below that. So this vein right here, this is the superior vena cava. So a lot happens really, really quickly when we leave, well, I guess when we're entering the heart, but for purposes of just explaining this, just above the heart, where this vessel's leaving the heart, this is the superior jugular vein. It's very, very short in the fetal pig. Immediately above it, right where everything merges, this is the brachiocephalic vein. So let's go to our next view. And again, to kind of orient you, now we're looking at this region right here blown up. So it's kind of difficult to see because the veins down here did not take the stain very well, and there are some membranes that are not dissected away in this image. But to give you an idea of what we're looking at, this is the left kidney. Now, you don't need to know the kidney on this pig, but it will help you orient yourself. So this is the left kidney, and most of the time when we're talking about kidney, you're going to see the word renal. Renal just means pertaining to the kidney. So this is the left kidney, and there's this blue vessel coming out of the left kidney. This is the left renal vein. The left renal vein is the vessel that drains blood out of the kidney. And even though we don't see it, we'll see it in just a moment, there's a blood vessel that's running down through here that this left renal vein is connecting to, and this is the inferior vena cava. So this is the same thing we were just looking at, but I've added another image over here on the right because I didn't get any good pictures to show you the vena cava. What we're looking at is still this area, but a lot of these other organs that are kind of blocking the view have been removed. And I didn't take this picture here on the right. This is actually a stock image that I found online, which is why those arrows are there. But to kind of, again, orient you, this is the left kidney and the right kidney. Here's that left renal vein that we saw over here in this image. But we can also see here's the right kidney, and it's got a vein coming out of it, also very, very short. This is the right renal vein, and both of them are connecting to this large blood vessel right here. This is that inferior vena cava, which was behind that membrane that we see right here. So we can see the left renal vein, the right renal vein, and the inferior vena cava. Now, for the pigs, that's all the veins that you have to know. So next we're going to look at arteries. Moving on now to arteries, we can see over here on the left again, this is still that dissected fetal pig. And over here on the right, what we're looking at is this area again, right here in the upper chest, neck area. But we've done something important. Remember those veins that we were just looking at in the upper chest, neck area? They're covering a lot of the arteries. So in this image, we've actually dissected those veins out. Here is that superior vena cava, and we've cut and removed all of that vein vasculature so that we can see the arteries that are hidden. Now, the arteries that you need to know, there's going to be a left subclavian and a right subclavian artery. Here we have the right subclavian artery and the left subclavian artery. Subclavian means below the clavicle or underneath the clavicle, and these vessels run underneath the clavicle, the collarbone. We have a left and right common carotid artery, and that's right here is the right common carotid artery and the left common carotid artery. We also have a brachiocephalic artery, just like we had a brachiocephalic vein, and the brachiocephalic artery is this structure right here. Now it looks like it was cut during the dissection, but it is this vessel right here is the brachiocephalic artery. Right here, where the left subclavian artery and the brachiocephalic artery empty into this larger vessel, this is the aorta. This is actually the largest vessel in the entire body. The aorta, it doesn't look very big here, but keep in mind this is a fetal pig. This is the aorta. Specifically, this bent portion is called the arch of the aorta. When you're looking at the big model heart, you do need to know the parts of the aorta, but for the fetal pig, this structure right here is the aorta. Now, right in front of the aorta is something called the pulmonary trunk. So the pulmonary trunk is just immediately in front of the aorta, and here's the aorta. Moving down a little bit, now we're looking at this region right here. To orient you, here's the kidney. This is the left kidney. Previously, we looked at this left renal vein, but just below that is another vessel. This is the left renal artery. And the left renal artery connects to this much larger blood vessel that we see right here. This is the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta. And again, because I didn't get a good image of the right side of the pig underneath where these organs are covering, I'm using our stock image that I used for the right renal vein. So what we can see here, again, to orient you, this is the right kidney, and there is a small vessel right here running behind the inferior vena cava. This small vessel is the right renal artery, and it's connecting again to that abdominal aorta that we see here. Moving down further still, now we're looking at this region of the pig in our image over here on the right. To orient you, here's the bottom portion of the kidney. Here is that abdominal aorta, and the abdominal aorta has some vessels that break off of it at this point and go down towards the leg. And these are the left and right femoral arteries. The left and the right femoral arteries. Remember the femur, that's the bone in the upper leg. So these run along that same area. And the last vessels that you need to know on the fetal pig, we're going to be looking at this region right here, which is right here. It's just over here we're pushing that structure to one side, here we're pushing it to the other side, but it's still the same thing. And again, for this fetal pig, you don't need to know it, but to help you identify what we're looking at here, this large structure right here is the pig's urinary bladder. And there are two vessels that run alongside that urinary bladder, and these are the left and right umbilical arteries. Umbilical because down here we can't see it, but this is where the pig's navel, the umbilicus or the belly button, is found. So this is the left and right umbilical arteries. So that's all the vessels that we need to know on the fetal pig. Remember, there's also the blood vessel man. There's not a video for that. It's labeled in your lab manual, so you should be able to practice that well. And also, there will be a video walkthrough for the heart. Keep an eye out for that.